children's awareness of schemas is one of their important ways of learning in their early years. And so they are looking out for or absorbing patterns in the environment, in the words that are spoken, and they put those patterns together. They can learn how to put them together. And that's actually how they learn. They're listening to patterns. Alison Gopnik makes the point that babies are statisticians. So when something comes up frequently, a baby will learn, say, a word or a pattern in the day, and that pattern that repeats itself could be described as a schema. Linguists have been using the patterns in language learning for prior to early childhood being brought into their knowledge of schema learning. And they are clear that children are picking up the patterns, the grammatical patterns in their languages or single language, and that is how they begin to learn how to string words together or say words. So schemas in early childhood are more about what's happening with the objects in the play materials and the art materials, and major pieces of equipment in the centre, and they work out the patterns to do with those materials that are offered to them for playing, and they can figure out aspects about those play materials simply by playing with them and some repetition in them, and they work out all of these things are similar in that they've got wheels, or all of these things are similar because of the shape of them. And they start putting the pattern and adding them up, and that's how they're building knowledge. In early childhood education, the work that has been done about schemas is simply observing children and then working with children when they show a fascination with a particular aspect of their world. And to begin with, it'll be things to do that they're moving and working with, and language. When children are presented with art materials, they'll start doing a lot of mark making, and there's quite definite patterns or repetitions in what children do when they're presented with something that will make a mark onto a surface of some sort. So if they're given a pen or a pencil or a crayon or something like that, you start to see that a child is repeating, and they're drawing lines, or they might be drawing circles, or they might be drawing joining up lines so that it makes a ladder. They might be joining up lines so that it turns into a cobweb, and they'll make a comment too if they recognise this looks like a spider web. So there's a glorious picture in one of the schema books that I've got where a child has written all over the palm of their hand lots of lines and crosshatches, and then get, oh, I've made a spider web. So they're recognising patterns, they're just exploring, repeating for themselves things that they've seen in their world. They draw a lot that comes from just observing the building around them. So there's a lot of lines and squares and window frames and outlines of different things that progresses through that. And if the adults in their lives are giving them the language, then they'll start learning the vocabulary that goes with that as well. So it's a stepwise progression that can often happen with schema learning, that they explore it for themselves. The adults don't necessarily see the pattern in their exploration, but if the environment's full of different objects, then they'll start putting things together for themselves, present them with some mark making, some art materials, and they'll then start representing the patterns that they're seeing in their built world or the natural world. And then they'll start, if the words are given them, the vocabulary is given them, they'll put the language to it as well. And then they've got a whole collection of things that add up to their knowledge making about the world.